and today we're going to learn about cactus. And I have a joke for you.
Share your joke.
What did a pencil say to another? You look sharp today. Why, thank you, mate.
Good joke, Alexis. Now, today we need some different supplies, don't we? Can you tell everybody what supplies we'll be using today?
We need a pencil.
Mm-hmm.
We need watercolors, any type of paper, a cup or a bucket of water, and you need some colored tissue paper and some toilet paper.
Or you can use crepe paper instead of the tissue paper.
And you need some sort of glue.
Mm-hmm. Some glue, and also white crayons today.
White crayons.
And a permanent marker, too. All sorts of fun stuff. Because after we learn about the cactus, we're going to watercolor a cactus as well. So our paper today is The Cactus Life. This desert plant gives animals food and a home. Look at these little hawks. Actually, they're pretty big hawks. Make their nests on a cactus. So you can imagine how big this cactus probably is, because hawks are a very large bird.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they like being in a cactus?
Because let's say an animal tried to get their babies or eggs, then they would get a thorn stuck in them.
That's right. So the cactus offers protection, doesn't it? Very good. So this one's kind of fun. It opens up this way. Long ways. A cactus home. A giant cactus grows in the dry, hot desert. It is called saguaro cactus. Animals build their home inside this prickly plant. Try to say that fast 3 times.
Prickly plant, prickly plant, prickly, prickly, prickly plant.
That's hard to say, prickly plant. They eat its fruit and flowers. Let's take a look at all these cute little creatures living in, and you wouldn't think a cactus would make a very soft home, would it? No. But these animals rely on it for, like you say, for protection. Oh, and the reeds say, hi, Alexis. You say hi.
Reeds.
And
hi,
I see, and
Edison.
And I see Hunter's here too. Can you say hi to Hunter?
Hi, Hunter.
So now let's read about the woodpecker. Can you read us about the woodpecker?
I am a woodpecker. I use my beak to poke holes in the cactus. I drink the water inside. A big hole in the cactus makes a nice rest.
Mm-hmm. Very nice nest, doesn't it? So this woodpecker will poke, poke, poke until he makes a hole inside the cactus. And then it makes a really nice nest because the cactus is kind of on the hollow side, so it can go inside and it makes a really nice nest. Oh, look, all 3 of the Zaners are here. Can you say hi, Muriel? Hi, Madeline. Hi, Zachary.
Hi, Millie. Hi, Zachary.
We're still on the prickly plant tongue twister, right? Oh, and Daddy's watching. Say hi, Daddy.
Hi, Daddy, in the living room.
Now we're going to learn about the squirrel in the cactus. Tell us about this cute little squirrel.
I am a squirrel. I eat cactus fruit and flowers. The cactus needles don't stop me. I climb to the top for a tasty treat.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times those flowers they grow on the top of the cactus.
Mm-hmm. There's a little home.
Mm-hmm. You can, if you look very, very carefully up there, somebody's starting to build a home there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the bee.
I am a bee. I eat tiny grains in cactus flowers. I spread the grains called pollen from flower to flower, and I make more flowers grow.
Very good. So we were learning about some of the different colors of the cactus flowers. Do you remember some of those colors?
Oh yes. Orange, white, I think she said something about blue, pink, and that's all I remember.
Close, yep. So yeah, red, yellow, or red, orange, yellow, pink, blue, and white. So they come in a lot of beautiful colors. So I am an elf owl. I am one of the smallest owls. I make my nest in the cactus. When woodpeckers move out, I move in. So it looks like they don't like to be there together. Why don't you think they would want to be together?
Because I don't think two birds go well together.
Yeah, a lot of times different species don't necessarily live well together. So they decide that they'll take turns.
Like the sparrows and bluebirds.
Mm-hmm.
The sparrows are trying to steal the poor bluebird's house.
They do, I know. And maybe it's the same way here. The woodpecker and the owl would fight over it. So here's a map of the United States here, and underneath us is the country of Mexico. The saguaro cactus grows only in the Sonoran Desert. The desert is in parts of Arizona, California, and Mexico. And if you look at the back, I want everyone to be thinking about this. How is a cactus different from a tree, and how is it the same?
Definitely.
So let's let everyone kind of answer that too. And Alexis, why don't you answer the different part? How is it different from a tree?
A cactus has way more spikes than a tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most trees don't really have those spikes, do they?
Mm-hmm. Roses do, but I wouldn't really call them a tree.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if can anyone else think of some differences from a cactus and a tree? Right? We'll let them kind of think about it. Kind of tell us some things that are the same about a cactus and a tree.
Is probably right about the same size as a tree.
Yeah, some of the cactus are
66 feet tall.
Yeah, we learned that some can be very big, just like trees. So some of them are the same size as trees as well. And not only that, trees give homes to who?
Animals.
Mm-hmm, like
and
birds and squirrels. Mm-hmm. So we see that actually cactus are a lot like trees, aren't they? So they're not just plants. They provide a lot of homes and resources and food for animals too, don't they?
It's basically like the animals have a little water filter because with all the water stored in the cactus.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So I'm going to give you, Hunter says that cactus have prickly things and trees have leaves. That's very good observation, Hunter. Yeah. We don't see any leaves on the cactus, do we? No.
We see little spikes.
That's right. Just a bunch of little spikes. So here we're going to work on our paper here. The first question says, the bird flies blank a cactus. So what we need to do is we need to figure out some position words.
A cactus?
Well, actually, it gives you a couple of clues here. So you've got inside, over, on, or beside. Which one do you think would go?
Oh, wait, no. On.
Well, it could. This one kind of is in the cactus, but where is the bird flying?
Over.
There you go, over. So the bird flies over.
Circle it, or?
Well, you can just write it in the blank there. Over a cactus. And this bird, yes, this little owl would be in the cactus. And it looks like, yeah, sorry, that marker is a little bit crazy, isn't it? So now the next one, the owl lives.
The owl lives in.
Mm-hmm. In or inside the cactus. Just like the woodpecker also made a home inside the cactus. Now that lizard. The lizard rests where?
He on the ground.
Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of on a rock. It does kind of look like the ground a little bit, but he's on a rock. So the lizard rests on a rock. The boy stands blank a cactus. Where is the boy?
Beside.
Mm-hmm. The boy is beside the cactus. Very good. There's a few more position words on this page, like right and left. So can you tell us what is to the right of the cactus?
The right to the cactus?
There's quite a few things to the right.
Yeah. Well, to the right of the cactus, you see another cactus right here. And we also have another cactus by that on the right. And we have
even some desert flowers. So it looks like these.
Desert flowers.
Those are some of the small, because cactus can range from small to large. Very good. So did anyone else think of some different ways that the cactuses are either similar or different to trees? We'll see if anybody has any more answers. And we're going to start on our watercolor cactus. So we're just going to start with our paper and a pencil.
Paper, pencil, paper,
because I like to kind of draw things out before and then we'll use permanent marker on top. So you're going to kind of draw, I'll try to move this here a little bit. You're just going to draw a line kind of towards, see how this is the bottom of the page here? We're going to just draw a line at the bottom to kind of represent the desert sand. And then we're going to draw 2 cactus. We're going to draw one that's just a ball shape. So I'm going to put my ball shaped cactus to the left. So it's kind of just like one big curve. And then we're going to do a tall upright cactus over here. So as some of you remember, we did the deserts last week. So the cactus is the same way, where you're kind of making a really long, stretched out, upside down U. And then it's up to you how many little arms you want to give it. You could give it 2 arms, 3 arms. I kind of like a cactus with 2 arms. But you all can decide how many arms you'd like to give your cactus. So now that we have it kind of traced out, we're going to use our permanent marker to draw on top of that. So again, we're going to do the line at the bottom for the desert sand, the hot desert sand. We're going to just trace over our ball cactus. And we're going to trace our large tall cactus. And if you're really talented, you could draw a little hole in the cactus and have a little owl peeking out.
Not good at drawing owls, but
that's okay. Or a woodpecker. So now we've got it traced out. We're going to use our white crayon. This part's a little tricky because you can't really see where you're writing, but we're going to use our white crayon to kind of make some lines and spikes on our cactus. So we're going to draw it, start kind of in the middle at the top and draw white lines down. Almost like a pumpkin would be too. And then on the outside, we're just going to draw little spikes all the way around.
Now I can see it on the black.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah, you can kind of see it on your black writing, but it's a little, if you kind of turn your head and the way the sun's shining, you can kind of see where the white is drawing, but yeah, it's a little tricky. And the same thing on here, we're going to draw some lines on the tall cactus and give him some little spikes too. So as we read, those spikes offer a lot of good protection, don't they? And then again, give your tall cactus lots of spikes. And not just spikes all around the cactus, but put also some spikes on these little lines that you wrote inside the cactus. And it's okay if you don't quite get on top of the lines because it's a little hard to see them.
Yeah, like I'm drawing nothing.
That's what it looks like now, but once we put the watercolors on top, our spikes will all appear.
Like a magic.
It is kind of like magic spikes. So yeah, we can barely see them right now. And in fact, I'm sure once we watercolor them, we'll see how crazy my spikes do look. And then down in the desert sand, we're going to just do a bunch of little dots to represent like the sand and pebbles. So just make a lot of little tiny dots.
Can't really see what I'm doing, but...
And again, I know it's going to be a little tricky, so just make little dots. You can even do little swirls, larger dots. This will just give a little bit of texture to our sand when we watercolor it.
I make it a bunch of squares.
Yep, you can do squares, you can do squiggles, however, whatever texture you want for your sand
and
will
it just
work.
Looks like white. Permanent nothing.
All right, but it'll show up in just a little bit. So now we're going to start our watercoloring. Now I like to do the background first.
I think I'll do a sunset.
And you can. I was just going to say you actually want a little bit of a thicker one for the background. So we have a couple different sizes. We have like a thicker one and a thinner one. So for the background, you're going to want kind of the thicker, not an overly thick paintbrush, but a little bit thicker. And I know I love those sunsets. So you can do a blue sky if you'd like, or you're welcome to do a sunset.
I just imagine sunsets.
Yep, I know sunsets, especially in the desert. They're so pretty. And one thing, when you're doing watercolors, it's actually good to start with your lighter colors before you move on to the darker colors. And that way your water stays a little bit cleaner, because yellow is a color that can get really yucky pretty fast.
Yeah, especially with black.
And if you don't have watercolors, you can use markers or crayons or anything to color. So I'm going to start here at the bottom and put some yellow to give this a nice, beautiful sunset. So you can kind of already see how the spikes are starting to come up already. So there's some yellow.
I'm just starting on my sky.
Yep, and you can, and if you want to do a blue sky, you can, or if you want to do a nighttime sky, really, it's kind of up to you. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about cactus plants. Okay, I'm going to go with some orange next. So a cactus is a type of plant called a succulent, and maybe some of your moms have little succulents in their little pots inside. Or
and another fact about the desert is it's actually really cold in the desert, and we actually have some succulents growing outside, and it's freezing outside, and I was super surprised by that.
We did. I meant to bring my succulents in over the winter, and I didn't. Most of them did die, but we had one succulent that it did survive the winter out there. There we go. So there's the kind of an orangish, yellowish layer. Oh, and look, Alexis's. She's got some really pretty stripes going. Very nice stripes going on hers. So now I'm going to go for a little bit of a darker orange and just kind of keep working your way up.
Mixing my colors.
And that's pretty. As long as you just want to kind of make sure that you rinse out so you don't ruin any of the colors, especially that yellow.
Yeah.
Has anybody had a watercolor that their palette gets all yucky, the yellow especially, because you've accidentally mixed it with other colors?
Yes.
So the yellow gets ruined very easily. All right, so there's the orange. So a succulent actually stores water in its stems, roots, and leaves. And that's kind of what we learned with the cactus too, that it has, that's how it can hang on to water for so long. And it holds on to water so well that even if it doesn't rain for a long time, that cactus has water saved up, and it can actually still live for over a year with no water. Now, does anybody know how long humans can live without water?
Not even one day.
Well, we actually can live more than one day without water.
You can live without food for a month. That's something I do know.
For home, but actually humans can actually live without water for 3 days. But I sure wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to go 1 day without water. So I'm going to do some red here at the top of mine. And then I think I'm going to finish off mine with pink. But you can even go, if you want to do more colors, you can even do a little purple in your sky as well. So there's a lot of different colors you can use for your sunset. So there are actually 2 different types of cactus. So I'm wondering if anybody knows what is the plural for cactus. More than one. So we have one cactus. Would more than one cactus? Cactuses. Does anybody else have any other guess of what they think a plural of cactus would be?
No.
Actually, you know what? It can go either way. It can be either cactuses or it can be cacti.
Cacti?
So it can
Interesting name.
Isn't that an interesting word? So yeah, it can be cactuses or cacti. Either way. And so green is the most common color, but they can actually also be either like a bluish greenish color or a brownish greenish color.
That was kind of odd.
Isn't that interesting? But I think the solid green ones are probably the prettiest. Although bluish green is pretty too. And again, you've probably seen succulents that have like the bluish green. I don't know if I've seen too many brownish green. And I know some succulents even have a little pink on them. So there's that sunset there. So you can kind of see how the cactus spikes are starting to poke through the watercolors. So now if you put your watercolor on really, really thick, so see how I have it a little bit thicker down here? The white crayon won't show through as well if you do that. So cactus come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. They can be really small or really big. And in fact, the biggest one, as Alexis said earlier, is 66 feet tall and can weigh up to 4,800 pounds.
That's the size of a car, and it weighs the same.
And that's huge. So look, you can kind of see my sand coming through too. I did some dots and some swirls. I would definitely do a very light brown for the sand.
I can see my spikes coming.
Oh yeah, look. So Alexis is doing her cactus, her round cactus, her ball cactus. Very nice. And they can also, cactus can come in a lot of shapes. So we've got our ball cactus here. We have the tall, this is like your typical cactus. They can also be shaped like snakes or starfish, or flat like a pancake even.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you could even have like some that have like little bumps on them that have like little pancakes almost sticking off of them. So yeah, there's a lot of different different shapes, different sizes of cactus. They can be from the size of a little tiny succulent, and that fits in a tiny pot, or is so big that animals grow inside.
I'm doing like a mix of light green and dark green. Pretty.
And the cactus, while it does have spikes, they're actually technically called
Spines.
Oh, good memory. Yeah. So their spikes are actually called spines, and they are instead of leaves, like Hunter mentioned. They have the leaves instead of those spikes the trees do. That's a big difference. But those spines on the cactus, they actually help the plant survive, which is very important. Not only that, it protects those animals and birds. And the reason why it has to protect the plant itself is because it stores water. And is there very much water in the desert?
No.
No. So this way, the cactus protects the water for both itself, the plant, and for the animals that live in the cactus. So those spines are very important. There, I think we've got the brown sand already. Very nice. So now Alexa, she has her cacti all colored green, and now she's working on her sand. So she'll almost be ready to start looking for what color flower she'd like for her cactus. So Alexis, while I'm painting my green, while I'm painting my green cactus, you can go ahead and pick out your flower. So who remembers what the flower colors of the cactus are?
Pink, orange, white, blue, and yellow, I think.
So red, orange, yellow, pink, blue, or white. So Alexis, why don't you look into the tissue paper while I paint my green cactus and figure out what colors you would like for your cactus flowers. We're going to do those next. So we know that the cactus do live in the desert, but did you know you can actually eat them? Not all of them, but some are actually edible. And the fact that it holds water has actually saved lives while people are living in the desert. I think it was Madeline mentioned how the people might die going to the desert, and that's true because they need water. But the cactus has literally saved lives in the desert from people who were so thirsty they needed water. Isn't that cool? That's a cool fact, isn't it? So some cactus are poisonous, so you wouldn't just go and eat any cactus, but there are some that are actually edible, like Indian figs and prickly pears.
How are you supposed to tell?
Well, you kind of just need to know the species, so you'd have to know, oh, this is a prickly pear, I can eat this one. There's a restaurant in Ann Arbor called the Prickly Pear. But I know some of you have been to that before. So I'm putting on my watercolors very thin, so that way my spikes will show through on my watercolor.
Yeah. I didn't really do it that thin because I did the mix.
Yep,
green and green.
Yep, that's okay. Like I probably might mix a little bit of light green on this one too, and then make that one all dark green. So the cactus also does grow fruit, which is red or yellow when it's ripe or ready to eat. And some people will eat the pads of the cactus themselves too. So some ways you can eat a cactus are either fried, boiled, served in a salad, or a soup. And even in Mexico, in the grocery stores, they actually sell cactus just in the grocery store. Isn't that interesting? So I'm kind of curious if you had a choice to eat a cactus, would you want it fried, like a French fry, or like fried mushrooms? Would you want it boiled, which is where you cook it in water? Would you want it in a salad, or would you want it in a soup? How would you eat your cactus?
In a salad.
In a salad?
Spikes off.
Yes, you wouldn't want to eat those spikes. So I'm curious as to how everyone else would eat their cactus. Would they like it fried, boiled, in a salad, or in soup?
I don't really think it would be that good fried because it's more of like think of a vegetable fried.
Yep. Well, that's what a lot of things are. Fried vegetables are pretty popular. Like, I probably would choose the fried version because I don't know if a cactus sounds that tasty to me. So I think I'd like it fried. So to make your flowers, if you're a head like Alexis is, you'll take whatever color flower you want for your cactus, kind of just pinch it just a little bit. You don't want it pinched so much that it's super tiny. You want it pinched enough where it looks like it's the right size. And then you're just going to glue them onto your cactus wherever you'd like. A lot of times they are up at the tops, but they also can grow in different places. So you can put some fruit and flowers also on your cactus. Now, the cactus plants are pollinated by bees, butterflies, moths, and even bats.
I did not know bats.
I know. I was surprised to hear about the bats, too. And they can actually be used to make things. They are used to make combs, needles, and hooks. Because the cactus spines can be very, very sharp and thick.
Yeah. In fact, when I went to the Hidden Lake Gardens the last time, I went to they have like a room that has a bunch of cactuses. I touched it and I actually got a pokey needle in my finger.
One of the spines got in her finger. So, yep. And if anybody gets a chance to go to Hidden Lake Gardens, they actually have a whole desert.
My favorite one is the jungle.
Yeah, they have a rainforest, and then they have the tepid one, and then the desert. So that's a fun place to go and check out different plant life. So this one I made a little darker, and I'm going to add just a little bit of the light green to this cactus.
That's what I did.
Is that how you made yours lighter
Yeah.
too? So the main thing is, see how when it gets thick, then it covers up the white?
Yeah.
So we just want to like really spread it out so doesn't cover up all our white pokies. There, and that's just about done here. So, let's see. All of the Zaners said that they would eat their cactus in salad. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
With the spines off, though.
Yes.
You probably want to use the thick glue, I think. But so now I'm ready to put my flowers on. And actually, if I move this up, you can see Alexis putting her flowers on too. Now, what color? I'm curious as to what color flowers people like. What color are you going to make your cactus flowers?
Pink.
Ooh, pink sounds pretty.
Pink is pretty. And pretty is pink.
Yep, I think I like the pink. And the blue is kind of a neat one. The blue is a little bit more rare.
Yeah.
You definitely pink is definitely a traditional color that you'll see a lot. So I think I'm going to mix mine up too with some different colors. So we know that a lot of times the ball-shaped ones, they do tend to have pink flowers on them. So I think I'm going to do some pink.
Ones even had flowers.
A lot of times they do. And you tend to see a lot of the ball-shaped ones, you can see them like for sale in a lot of plant shops and stuff too.
Yeah, I keep wanting to get them. Like, ooh, spiky spine.
Yep, so I'm going to put lots of flowers up here on top. Because I think I want that to look extra floral. There. So of all those creatures that we learned about, what do you think was your favorite creature?
Bats.
Yeah, you like the bats? Bats are pretty cool creatures.
And they even eat the bugs.
They actually have a really cool, like a bat educational area at Cranbrook, their science museum there. And you get to see the bats up close.
Cool. Can you hold the bat?
No, you don't actually hold the bats, but the educators, they actually will hold the bat. Yeah, it's really cool to see. You can see I must like the pink too, because I ended up picking all pink and I just put a little bit of yellow.
Pink, pink.
There we go. So we've got our cacti, or you could call them cactuses, all ready to go. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye.